Greetings, fellow terrestrials. Thank you so much for coming back. And if you're new here, well, I hope you enjoy your time. Today, I'm very excited to show you guys how I go about getting a film-like look, specifically with Dehancer Pro. I'm not going to get into the specifics of the differences between Pro and Light and Mobile, but I will say that they're all very powerful in their own way. This video is not sponsored, but Dehancer did send me the product in order to review and to show you guys around. So if you are interested in this, I will leave links down below and you can use my promo code RUBES, yeah, it's my band's name, RUBES, in order to get 10% off. And yes, it will help support my channel and show them that you appreciate what I'm doing and what they're doing. Currently, this is the only direct manner to support my channel, obviously, other than like you liking and subscribing and commenting down below. When Dehancer reached out to me, I would actually let them know that I was a happy returning customer of theirs, and they were sure to let me know that they wanted me to be very honest with my opinion and to give any constructive criticism. So not that I have a ton, but there is one thing that I will say right now, and I'll mention later on, but I know that Dehancer has a way to show the way that the film stocks directly affect the image when you're scrolling through them on the mobile app. So it would be really cool if you could, if not showing each film stock directly affecting the image that I'm working on, just a random image next to the film stock would just be helpful, just at the very least, at the blink of an eye, rather than having to click through every individual film stock. But that's just like a minor, like, tedious thing that otherwise is irrelevant, especially when you get to know the film stocks that you appreciate and you enjoy. You may have seen in the intro several clips, along with several others from several other projects, but specifically these. For the music video that I shot for the song With You by my band Rubes, I handmade the puppets, Richard the Wizard, and Little Richard, and we built the set. Even my bandmates helped puppeteer the puppets. It was a joy of a time, and I'll link the video above and below, and that's what I'll be showcasing the powers of Dehancer through a clip from a ProRes file from a camera that I used on that video, which is the next subject. I utilized the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera OG for every single shot, and it does have a very unique and like organic feel to it and very filmic, I would say, look. I also utilized a vintage CCTV lens that I love. I've used on a lot of other projects with this camera and others. Today I'm going to go about showing you how to use Dehancer as like a one-stop shop. You know, I'll say it right now loud and clear, I'm not a professional colorist by any means. This is just my process and my walkthrough. If you appreciate the character and tone of the manner that I go about this, then hey, you know, win-win. Let's get into this footage, and maybe later we can talk more about my band Rubes and how, you know, we're dropping a new single called Picture Frame soon. Oh, right. Yeah, here you can see simple color grade I already threw together whenever I was kind of practicing for this tutorial. I'm doing this tutorial in DaVinci Resolve, but it's pretty much the same in Premiere Pro and whatnot. Go ahead and erase this progress. If you do have Dehancer installed already, you can go ahead and type in Dehancer in the effects panel in the color page and drag and drop Dehancer onto your single node, because we're using a single node right now. And at the very bottom, you can click disable all tools so that we can have a clean slate. At the top under input, we can let Dehancer know what codec we recorded our footage in. This footage was recorded on a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera OG, but I do like the way that it treats the footage when I tell it that it was filmed on a 4K. I'm gonna go ahead and bring this exposure up, and let's bring down that temperature just a tad and bring the tint up so that we can accentuate the pinks. That looks nice. All right, now let's go over the film stocks. Now, as I mentioned earlier, I really do wish that there was a way that you could individually see the way that each picture is affecting the image without having to click on them. This is obviously not a major inconvenience by any means. It's just the fact that I know that they can on a mobile version makes me feel like they totally could find a way to integrate it. It's probably just like, this seems more sleek and professional and what you would expect when going through like presets and whatnot, but would be cool if there was a way. Now, I already know which film stock I'm going to choose. That is the Kodak Vision 3 50D. All right. And I'd like to see a little bit more contrast in this image, but what I really want to see is some more color. So let's get that figured out real quick so I can get to the color. All right, now let's see. Ooh, yes. I'm already seeing a lot more of what I'm trying to go for here. Let's move on to film compression, which, from my understanding, film compression caps the dynamic range of your footage, which is something that is super powerful in combating the digital edge of your modern mirrorless cameras and whatnot. But thankfully, being that this footage was filmed on the Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera OG, it's thankfully almost already there in camera. It's most noticeable in the highlights, and I really do like what this does. It just brings it on home to me. I mean, obviously, we got a couple other things we're going to do to bring it on home. Now, at the bottom above output, you can find false colors under monitor, and you can see to the left of my footage now that there is a gauge from dark blue for underexposed up to red for overexposed and everything in between. And now, if false colors is a little bit too complicated for you, then you can always use this clipping tool to check and see what's clipping in a more simplistic manner, of course. Now, let's see if we push this black point. Yeah, I see. Oh, I guess that's also. Now, print comes after compression, and we're going to go ahead and try our best to bring some life back into the colors and contrast them a little bit better. Obviously, I think in the color head is where we're going to have our best bet, bringing those pinks out just a little bit more. Now, analog range limiter can yet again be another super useful tool when trying to bring back the dynamic range of your super dynamic modern mirrorless camera to a more like, let's say, for a period piece or like an older vintage film look. But obviously it's not as much of a problem right now. Now let's get into this color head and try to bring these pinks out just a little bit more if we can. This section should be our best bet in combating any colors that are acting any certain way and pulling them in a direction that we want them. Yeah, pinks are looking more like I want them to. Look at that. What do you guys think? I want this image to feel warm without like just killing the pinks, which obviously my puppets aren't naturally pink enough. The fabric that I found just wasn't quite the pink that I wanted, but you know, neither was the paneling for the backdrop of the wall that we built. But hey, you work with what you got, and you know, we love what we have either way. All right, now a grain is something that I don't like to be too heavy-handed with, you know. For this edit, I'll try to have a little fun with it, you know. But being that this was shot on a Blackmagic Pocket Cinema Camera OG, if I haven't said that a million times, it has a 16mm sensor, which is, you know, perfect for 16mm film stock, right? Now, next we have halation, which isn't going to be super noticeable in this image because I don't have a ton of like sharp edges that are like drawn out. Obviously, I have a lot of tiny edges along the fur of my puppets, but halation normally adds a reddish bloom around the edges of sharp things, which you can notice it you'll notice it definitely in the clip I'll show at the end of this from an iPhone shot that I got. And next we have bloom, which again, I got us halfway there with a nice soft vintage lens already, but you can see it blooms the highlights and creates a softer image overall, which again, I already have a pretty soft image, but This is just the icing on the cake, and again, it will be more noticeable on the iPhone footage that I show you next. Now, with film damage, a little bit is usually good to use alongside of grain, you know, to add that, you know, organic feel, but again, I try not to be too heavy-handed with it, unless, you know, a period piece. I'm sure there's always a good use for it, especially a good algorithmic one. Now, film breath creates like a breathing fluctuation in the image that's most noticeable in the highlights, and we're really just creating like a seemingly organic inconsistency in the footage now, similar to how old film would when it's like having to be spun through those old reels in real time to create every frame. See, you can definitely notice it in those highlights in the curtains. Now, gate weave adds just a little bit of shake. You can see how it crops in a little bit, but we're not really going to worry about that right now. Now, for the sake of things, I'm just going to turn those off, and let's just go ahead and create a frame with the overscan. Now, there's a lot you can do with this, obviously, especially dependent on what like type of period piece or what like film specifically you're trying to emulate, and this is completely not necessary a part of the process, but something that I like to do, especially when I'm framing for 4x3 or something like that. All right, now this is the one I'm gonna go with. Now let's go ahead and bring Richie a little bit closer to the center. I know the framing's a little wonky here. And of course, the most important part, gate defocus, which softens the edges. And now let's move on to vignette. And I like to start with the feather completely off so that I can see exactly where my vignette range is affecting. And obviously, if you move the exposure up or instead of down, it'll be bright. And once you pass the center median, just adjusting the aspect ratio so I can get a little bit of Richie, but obviously he bounces a little more into the center of the frame, but this is all kind of irrelevant, just kind of showing you what we can do here. I do like that they allow you to adjust the placement, you know, up or down, move around, left or right, where the center of your vignette is. It's a nice touch. And voila, I think that's quite a significant impact within just one specific node, just one node. And obviously it's not playing at full speed, but yeah. Now let's hop over to this one last clip before we end this video. This is a clip that I got in the Blackmagic app on my iPhone 13 Pro Max, recorded in ProRes. Obviously a much more extensive node tree that I have built, where you can see that I utilize the color space transformation before and after the film emulation, as mentioned earlier. Yeah, this is a lot of fun to mess with. Anyways, as mentioned earlier, if you are interested in this software, there will be links down below, and you can use my promo code RUBES, RUBES, in order to get 10% off of your purchase on Pro or Lite. And please let me know down below what kind of camera, lens, etc. configurations that you'd like to see with this software. And most importantly, have a blessed day. Thank you.
And I want you. I gotta have you. Daddy, dad.